A California woman won a $1.7 million lawsuit after repeatedly being spanked by coworkers as part of team building exercises. The Alarm One company says it had no knowledge of the inappropriate behavior and stopped the practice of spanking as soon as they learned about it. But by that time, Janet Orlando says the physical and emotional damage caused by the spanking had already taken its toll. It was supposed to be an exercise aimed at team building for employees. But Janet Orlando, a former saleswoman, says in 2004 her then-employer, Alarm One, subjected her to inappropriate behavior by subjecting her to repeated spankings by fellow coworkers at team meetings. In late April, a California jury agreed and awarded the 52-year-old $1.7 million in damages. Court testimony indicates the spankings and lewd comments occurred during company-sponsored meetings designed to motivate sales employees.
I don't see how spanking an employee can ever be seen as a motivator. I can't imagine how Janet Orlando's employer thought that this was a proper way to motivate or engage or treat its employees.
Following the judgment, Alarm One issued a statement of apology, noting that Alarm One had and still has a very aggressive employee training program to ensure employee understanding of the type of behaviors that will and will not be tolerated. Alarm One company says it is now considering its post-trial options, including appeal. Earlier, in a GMA exclusive, I was joined by Janet Orlando and her attorney, Butch Wagner. When did you first encounter these spankings in the workplace?
Somewhere in the year of '03, October of '03, it started into, I started to work there at October of '03.
And was it what they're calling a team building, a camaraderie type of atmosphere? It wasn't actually in the workplace, was it?
It was in the workplace.
In the workplace?
Yes.
And what was the reason given?
If you spoke out of turn or if you came in late, they would spank you.
What was your first reaction when you were told this? You were new on the job and you hear this.
I was shocked, actually, about what had happened. I asked why they were doing it, and they told me, "Don't worry, you'll be next." And I was. I was hit 3 times.
3 times?
Yes.
And you objected each time. Some people would say after that first time, why was there a second or third time? Why didn't you speak out then?
Because the money. I was helping support my family at the time. And the money was very good. I couldn't have made that money, I don't believe, at any other job that I knew of.
Yeah, the spankings took place at these meetings in the morning, these sales meetings that occurred every morning before they dispensed the workforce onto the neighborhoods to sell these alarm systems. So once Janet got through these meetings that lasted about an hour or so in the morning, she was okay. And it was just, you know, these meetings to sit through and be subjected to this humiliation on practically a daily basis was something she endured to get through, because she really loved working for doing what she did once she got out of the office.
And the company said it had no knowledge that there may have been, in their words, a few rogue supervisors, but this was not company policy.
Well, actually, one of the vice presidents for the company worked in the Fresno office about half the time, and he was present during many of these spankings and actually encouraged it. And the spankings also took place in another office of Alarm One in the San Francisco Bay Area. And there was also another vice president there during these spanking sessions. So when they say the company didn't know about it, well, certain parts of the company may not have known about it, but certainly 2 of their vice presidents did and encouraged the practice.
Did you ever spank anybody?
They've accused me of it, but I never touched a soul ever in that room.
You never participated?
Never. Ever.
There were just certain people in the room that would do it?
There were certain people, but I think that they tried to justify it all the time.
That was their defense in the case, that this was something everyone equally participated in, and that Janet consented to this activity because she didn't run away from it. Well, you know, there's consent and then there's consent. She consented to it only because she had to do it to continue working there and to get through the day.
Janet, you know that some people have called into question your credibility, that in the past you have sued an employer for similar situations, that you had a run-in with the law as far as shoplifting is concerned, and people, you know, raising an eyebrow. Some people are raising their eyebrow as to your credibility and to your motives. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think owning up to responsibility for what you've done wrong and making it right is what's important. And I had an addiction problem, and I needed to take control of that, and it helped with the shoplifting.
You said that you want to speak out about this kind of treatment in the workplace?
Absolutely.
One of the things that's important that workers remember to do is to complain in writing when anything occurs, because that was one of the issues in this case. Janet complained at least 4 times about this conduct, and they claim she never did, because none of her complaints were in writing. And if you don't complain in writing, complaints don't count.
Janet Orlando, thank you very much. All the best to you. Butch Wagner.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your
Thank
time
you,
this
Evan.
morning.
Spanked at work by the boss. My next guest says that was the punishment her employers doled out to underperformers. Janet Orlando sued her company after she was spanked in front of her coworkers 3 times. Janet is joined by her attorney, Nicholas Butch Wagner. Okay, Janet, you know, we've tried a bunch of cases here where that would get you in criminal court, much less civil court. What's the deal? Why are they spanking employees?
This company, if you spoke out of turn or if you came in late, they would spank you. And I didn't know until the trial that up prior to that, about a total of 7 years, what was going on in the Hayward office is they would put them in diapers, feed them baby foods, put pies in their face, and spank them and throw tables and chairs at them. So all this came out at the trial.
This is lovely behavior. Now, let me ask you something, because when I read about this, I hear team building, and I think about when corporations take everybody to the woods and they do the outward bound sort of thing, and they swing on ropes. Okay, maybe this is some sort of event at a weekend retreat. So this is stuff that's going on inside the company on a regular basis.
Yes, it is.
Now, what was your reaction the first time you were, and what did they spank you with?
They hit you with a competitor's alarm sign, and the last time they hit me, I was hit 3 times. On the 3rd time, one of the gentlemen that hit me with a severed alarm sign, which means the metal was turned back and frayed. So when it caught me at the bottom of my buttocks and ripped my skin.
This is absolutely amazing. Did you say anything the first or second time and say, no, this is nonsense?
I complained every time.
And what would they say in return?
They used foul language and told me to get out of their office and get myself back into the rally where this was all going on.
Did you ever get around the water cooler and talk to anybody else and go, is this really the way this company operates? What would people say?
The vice president of the company was actually present during some of these spankings and actually encouraged it. So there was really no need to complain, because
they were there watching it.
Let's
put the statement from Alarm One, the company here. It says, although Alarm One Inc. had no direct or indirect knowledge of the inappropriate behavior of some of its sales supervisors in its Fresno sales office, the employees who were affected by those sales supervisors' behavior are still deserving of our apology. It is unfortunate that a few sales supervisors who could not comprehend what constitutes appropriate or inappropriate behavior, even with the very best efforts of the company to train, educate, and prevent such behavior, should cause the company to be found co-responsible for the behavior of the other defendants. So what I'm hearing, Butch, is that there were senior officials. It's not a sales rep over in a corner somewhere pulling something.
That's right. At least 2 of the 3 vice presidents knew of this behavior and watched it and encouraged it.
Did you ever hear about it happening in other offices?
Yes.
Where you can say, look, this must have been some sort of top-down conversation, because if I'm going to choose a manner of disciplining employees, I am not going to come up with spanking somebody today.
Right, there was court testimony, and it was unrefuted that this occurred in more than one of their offices for a long period of time.
Were you ever able to find anything, going up the list, whether it be a memo or manual or some place where this ridiculous idea came from?
Nothing in writing, no.
Okay. What sort of reaction from your coworkers? Have you gotten any yet about your recovery?
There was so much turnover in this company due to the type of business it was, and the company closed its Fresno sales office about 1 year after Janet quit. So it was closed it's been closed for over a year in the Fresno location. So there really are no employees left for the company that Janet would know.
The company's still solid, though, so you're going to be able to recover on this?
Well, they do have about 50 remaining employees in various offices, but they do have contracts that they're collecting about $1 million a month in revenue on. So that's not going to be a problem collecting the judgment. And they do have insurance for part of this also.
Yeah. Did either of you talk to the jurors?
Not yet.
I haven't.
Yeah? You want to?
Not yet. Oh, certainly.
Oh, did?
We had a real good jury. They
Wonderful.
paid attention every day. They took copious notes, and they really got what was going on here.
In your research, Butch, are you finding that there are bizarre activities like that going on in corporations today, or is this some sort of real isolated incident?
Right. My firm in Fresno, Wagner and Jones, has been doing this. Has been doing employment law like this since about 1990, and we have seen that right now the workplace is in more disarray generally than it ever has been.
Why?
In that 15 years. You know, I think it's a lot of economic pressures trickling down, and it seems the first thing that corporate America attacks are the lower echelon employees, and then work its way up towards the top in trying to cut for economic reasons. And we're seeing a lot more problems with workers getting paid their just wages, either in overtime or missed meal periods. And
the whole Walmart litigation, all that sort of thing.
Right,
Yeah.
and a lot of employees are the biggest fear they have in coming forward is that of retaliation, because let's face it, they need their jobs, and employees need to be confident that if they do complain, and they do complain in writing, and they have an attorney, that their rights will be protected.
Yeah. Now, were you worried at all, Janet, not just about losing that job, but maybe if I sue the boss, that word will get out and it'll be hard to get another job someplace else?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
I was scared to death.
Yeah. Any problems? You back in the
No,
workforce, or
I've
with
been-
1.7 you're going, hey, we're okay
No,
now?
I've been working for the Better Business Bureau for over 2 years.
A very good
So,
place for you to
yeah,
go.
everything's fine.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
All right, Janet Orlando and Butch Wagner.